So let's start this broadcast with the top updates on the war that is unfolding at this moment between Israel and Palestine. At this moment, as we speak, the state of Israel has continued with its high-octane campaign of carrying out air raids and bombings of the Palestinian territory of the Gaza Strip. And it is also looking and making preparations to carry out a ground invasion into the Gaza Strip, which is densely populated. It is so densely populated that it is dubbed as arguably the most densely populated territory anywhere in the world. And as we speak at this moment, at least about 1,200 Israelis have been killed so far since the incursion that was carried out by Hamas. On the other hand, at least about 1,000 Palestinians are reported to have been killed in the relentless campaign of air bombings that Israel has carried out on the Gaza Strip. Now, Israel has also reported of having killed 1,500 Hamas militants who had carried out the incursion into the Israeli territory on the 7th of October. So in total, as things stand, the death toll is well over 3,500. If you also count the Hamas fighters who had infiltrated into the Israeli territory. In the latest, the former Hamas chief, Khalid Mashal, has called for protests across the Muslim world on Friday in support of the Palestinians. Now, Khalid Mashal has called on the neighboring nations like Jordan, Syria, Lebanon and Egypt to join the fight against Israel. Now, the call from the former Hamas leader has come shortly after the Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant has declared a full blown-out offensive in the Gaza Strip, saying that this is something that Israel will carry out. An estimated 300 Israeli reservists have all been gathered and they've begun to surround the tiny strip of Gaza, where an estimated 2.3 million Palestinian civilians live at this moment. And as we speak, this is, of course, the fifth straight day where Israel has carried out repeated bombings of the Gaza Strip, where it has dropped bombs that weigh nearly about 1,000 kilograms on several high-rise civilian buildings besides government infrastructure, including the Islamic University in the Gaza Strip. Yoav Gallant was speaking to the Israeli troops near the Gaza fence, where the Israeli forces say some 300,000 soldiers have now been gathered. Remember, this is more than the number of soldiers that Russia had mobilized for its invasion into Ukraine. The Israeli forces have bombed the Islamic University in Gaza with a heavy airstrike. These latest strikes have come amidst concerns around the mounting civilian casualties. Because remember, the Hamas fighters, they know the tunnels where they need to get into. But the people, the common civilians, are the ones who are facing the brunt of this campaign of relentless air raids that Israel has carried out, that has been described as indiscriminate, that has targeted the densely populated civilian areas in the Gaza Strip. And so far, since the bombing campaign began by Israel, at least about 2,300 airstrikes have been carried out so far on what Israel says are Hamas hideouts. But even the Israeli defense minister and the top leadership in Israel has said that more than precision, at this moment, what Israel is carrying out is to inflict maximum damage, which has resulted in enormous number of civilian casualties in the Gaza Strip. Authorities have just informed that 30 people have been killed in the Israeli strikes overnight. And these are desperate families that are trying to flee from the violence that has broken out in the Gaza Strip. But there is absolutely no place to, in fact, escape from the Gaza Strip. And even the one escape route, that is the Rafah crossing, has also been repeatedly bombed by the Israelis. Hamas has confirmed the deaths of some of its top commanders in the Israeli attacks, but the militant group has nonetheless threatened to begin executing Israeli hostages if Israel resorts to bombing civilian households without prior adequate warning. Now, Hamas at this moment holds at least about 130 to 150 Israeli hostages, which includes both soldiers and civilians. Civilians in Gaza are scrambling to flee from the territory that is being bombed relentlessly by the Israelis. Now remember, Gaza is a tiny strip of land, and the only escape route out of Gaza is the Rafah crossing, which opens up into Egypt. But Israel has been bombing the Rafah crossing as well. For its part, Egypt is moving to contain the mass exodus of Gazans onto its soil. The Egyptian military had taken up new positions close to the border between Egypt and Gaza and was running patrols to monitor the area. The Israeli bombardments have already halted the crossings at the only exit point from the Palestinian enclave. And amidst attacks and counterattacks, the Israeli forces have confirmed the arrival of the very first tranche of advanced ammunition, missiles and bombs from the United States of America. Now, these are weapons and missiles and bombs which the Americans are handing over to the Israelis for them to be used in the Gaza Strip. Now, the U.S. military weapons have arrived in Israel as the American President Joe Biden has called the attacks by Hamas as an act of sheer evil. Although the American president has not described what he thinks the acts of this relentless bombing campaign by Israel on the Palestinian civilians are. The U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken is also set to visit Israel on Thursday to meet with senior Israeli leaders in a show of solidarity and support. At least about 14 U.S. citizens have been killed so far in Israel, with an unspecified number of Americans who are said to be either missing or being held hostage. And to get a glimpse of what is unfolding at this moment in the state of Israel, our correspondent who's based out of Israel, Jody Cohen, has sent us this report from a bomb shelter in Ra'anana. Take a look.
So this is another community bomb shelter, and it's right next to a nursery school. There's a playground here, little playground. So anybody, I mean, the schools are obviously shut at the moment, but anybody who is here during regular times, not of war, if there's a sudden attack, then they can run, or if they're here playing and there's suddenly an attack, then they can come in, and the public bomb shelter is open. I'll just take you in here. So there seems to be one toilet here, fire extinguisher, and there's some stairs to go downstairs to make it safer to be underground. Okay, so this is an escape route to get out if you need to from another way. It's just a plain room. There's not a lot here. Somebody's put an old sofa here, and yeah, there doesn't appear, it's just a plain room, but it's a safe place to go to underground if the kids in the nursery school or anybody playing in the little playground next door, if there's a siren, they can run here. But right now, all the schools are shut, all the nursery schools, universities, everything's shut, and people are advised to stay near the shelter. The roads down south are closed. We're hearing of further infiltration attempts in the south and in the north as well. And so that's the priority right now of the Israel Defense Forces, is to stop Hamas militia from Gaza in the south and Islamic Jihad in the north, stop them coming into the country, and also to find anyone still in hiding from Hamas that's within Israel.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.